Tonight at Heartland, a shadow crosses the ranch, lights flicker, and a rider stops at the gate. Inside the dust, a familiar shape leans from the saddle. The name that Amy buried in silence rises in her throat. Ty's sky is the color of steel, and the wind is sharp with the smell of rain. The ranch is quiet, horses shift in their stalls, and the porch light throws a pale circle across the yard. Amy steps outside holding a worn jacket against the cold. She is not waiting for anyone yet, her eyes. Keep going to the road, she tells herself. It is a habit, a way to steady a heart that has learned to live with missing pieces. The gravel hum begins low, then grows into the steady roll of a bike. The beam of a headlight glides over the fence rails and settles on the yard gate. Amy does not move at first. She listens to the engine cut. She hears a foot hit the ground. The gate latch lifts and drops. The air feels heavy, like it does before a storm. Visual direction keep the camera behind Amy's show. Only the outline of her hair and shoulders. The rider stays in shadow frame. His hands, his boots, the curve of the helmet never show a full face. Keep the lens tight on small details. A scuffed glove, a dent in the fuel tank, a tag on the keychain that looks like it could have been a gift from long ago. Voiceover, Amy calls out, asking if someone is lost. Her voice is calm, but the quiet between words carries weight. The rider gives no answer. He takes a step forward, then stops. Hesitation turns into care as he sets a small canvas bag on the porch floor. He slides it toward her with the toe of his boot. In that moment, Amy sees the stitching at the corner. She made that stitch years ago when a seam ripped on a camping trip. The world narrows too. The size of that thread, a memory opens a river. A laugh, a promise. Sound design. Let the wind push through the microphone. A barn door creaks. A distant thunderhead rumbles. No music yet. Hold the silence until it almost hurts, then bring in a single sustained note like a held breath. Voiceover, Amy tells herself that this is a trick. Grief plays tricks. She has seen faces in crowds that were not there. She has heard footsteps that belong to no one, but the bag is real. The keychain is real. The secco. Ryder reaches up and removes the helmet. He keeps his head down. He sets the helmet on the porch with care. The porch light finds a scar along his knuckle and a silver ring that shines against his skin. Amy knows that ring. She bought it at a roadside market on a day that felt like the start of forever. Visual direction. Cut to Lyndy asleep. A nightlight glows. A drawing on the wall shows 3 stick figures holding hands. Repreth, her breath. Scugs. Sabura wobs. Suborder. Redder. Well, to run a ride. In the cold, she takes 1 step forward. Voice over the rider, lifts his head only enough for the light to touch the edge of his jaw. The line of his mouth, the set of his shoulders, the way he stands ready to move, yet rooted by fear. Amy speaks his name. It comes out like a question and a prayer. Ty. The wind falls away. The night waits for an answer. The porch light trembles in the wind, as if it too cannot believe what it sees. Amy stands still, her hand frozen on the doorway. Her breath comes. Fast, short bursts of disbelief. Her mind screams no, but her heart dares to whisper yes. The rider finally lifts his face into the light. His eyes carry the same storm gray that she has seen in dreams. His jaw carries lines of pain and distance, but the shape of him is the same. Her chest tightens. She wants to move forward, to reach out, yet her legs refuse. It feels as though time has bent, folded, and returned her to a place she once begged to revisit. Visual direction. Keep the camera close on. Amy's eyes, they widen, but do not blink. Let the sound drop into near silence. Hold on the detail of her lips parting as though words are forming but cannot escape. Switch quickly to the rider's face, still half hidden, but enough revealed for the audience to sense the truth without showing everything. Shadows cling to him like secrets. The faint glow of light reflects in his eyes, making them look alive but haunted. Voiceover, Amy whispers again, his name Ty. This time the word carries weight. Like the breaking of a dam, the rider closes his eyes at the sound. His chest rises heavy as though each breath costs him strength. He opens his mouth, but no words come. A storm of emotions passes across his features. Guilt, longing, fear, relief, and a love buried so deep it is turned into a scar. The silence stretches until it becomes unbearable. Amy takes a step forward, and then another. The wood creaks under her boots, the space between them shrinks, but it feels endless sound design layer. The sound of a single heartbeat echoing louder with each step she takes overlay the faint whisper of wind brushing across the ranch. Keep thunder rolling low in the distance, but softer now, more like a drumbeat of fate. Voice over Amy stops within. Reach but does not touch him. Her hand lifts, then falls. Her eyes search his face, trying to find the boy she once knew, the man she once loved. She sees pieces, a memory of laughter under summer skies, a promise made by the river, a farewell she'll never. Accepted. The rider finally speaks. His voice is low, rough-edged, as though unused for too long. He says her name, Amy. The sound of it cracks something inside her. It is a voice she thought she would never hear again. She trembles, caught between joy and fury, hope and sorrow. She demands to know where he has been, why he left, why he let her believe he was gone. He does not answer, not yet. His eyes fall to the porch, his hands tighten into fists. He carries a truth heavy enough to crush the air. Around them, visual direction cut to Amy's hand gripping the porch rail so tightly her knuckles pale. Then to the rider's boots, dust covering leather worn from travel. A quick shot of the family dog watching from the yard, ears pressed, back sensing. The weight of the moment end on a still frame of both of them standing in the porch light. Two souls divided by years and secrets, yet bound by something neither can deny. Voice over the night swallows their silence. 1,000 questions hang between them, but the first truth has already broken through. Ty Borden is alive. The yard feels smaller now, as though the land itself leans in to witness this impossible moment. Amy's chest aches with the weight of years. She wants to cry and laugh all at once, but neither sound will come. Instead, her throat burns. She steps back, afraid that if she stays too close, she will shatter into pieces. Her eyes shine with unshed tears, and every second feels like a lifetime. Ty stands still, rooted to the porch's gaze locked on her, like he is memorizing her all over again. He wants to reach for her, yet guilt keeps his hands heavy at his sides. Visual, direction, the camera follows Amy as she turns away for a heartbeat, staring out across the fields. A long pan across the open land shows how empty it feels without him, then cut back sharply to her face as emotion surges. A tear escapes and she wipes it away roughly, as though refusing to allow weakness. Her body trembles, but her stance remains firm. She is a woman caught between the memory of love and the reality of betrayal. Voice over Amy finally speaks, her voice sharp with pain. Where were you? Why did you let me bury you? Why did you let me tell our daughter you were gone? The words tear from her lips like broken glass. She does not whisper now. She demands. Ty flinches, each question striking deeper than the last. He tries to answer, but his voice fails. The silence between them is heavier than any confession. His eyes plead, but his mouth remains shut. His silence feels louder than thunder sound design. The dog in the yard lets out a low, uneasy whine. Horses shuffle in their stalls, disturbed by the tension. The heartbeat sound that carried through the last moment fades, now replaced by the harsh sound of Amy's breath echoing in the night. Voice over Ty finally lifts his hand, not to touch her, but to show her the scars across his palm, scars that tell a story he has not yet spoken. He whispers that he wanted to return, that he tried, but something stopped him. A shadow of fear passes over his face. Amy stares, unable to piece his broken words into sense. All she hears is the ache in her chest, the years of raising Lyndy alone, the endless nights wondering why fate had stolen her future. The memory of funeral flowers, church bells, and cold nights cuts through her like a blade. Visual direction close on Amy's hand, clenching the edge of her jacket. The stitching begins to pull as she grips tighter, cut to Ty's scars shown under the trembling porch light. Then a quick shot of Lyndy's drawing on the wall inside, 3 figures holding hands, a cruel reminder of what was lost. Voice over Amy. S voice softens for a breath, not out of forgiveness, but because exhaustion weighs on her. She says that Lyndy asked about her father. Every night she says she built answers out of air and hope. She says she carried both love and loss in silence. While the world moved on, Ty lowers his head, shame painting every line of his face. He whispers that he saw them, even from far away, but something greater than choice held him back. His words hang unfinished, incomplete. A secret waits heavy in the dark, and Amy knows this is only the beginning of a truth that may break them. Again, the porch feels like a stage built for heartbreak. The light hums above them, casting long shadows that move like ghosts. Amy's voice sharpens into steel. She tells him he does not get to stand here and breathe her name as though years of silence mean nothing. Her words cut across the night, and for the first time, Ty flinches, not from danger, but from the woman who once held his whole world in her hands. The truth of her rage is sharper than any wound he has carried. Visual direction. Hold a close shot on Amy's eyes, fierce but glassy with pain. Switch quickly to Ty's face, half in shadow, half in light. The contrast shows the split in him between the man he was and the stranger he has become. Cut away to the fence line where the horses rear their heads, disturbed by the storm of emotions filling the air, then return to Amy, her hand trembling against the wooden post, her body leaning forward as if her fury itself is holding her up. Voiceover. She accuses him of cowardice. She says if he loved her, he would never have vanished. If he loved their daughter, he would have crawled through fire to come home. She hurls these truths not as questions, but as judgments. Ty tries to speak, but his voice cracks. He says her name. Again, softer this time, he swears that leaving was never his choice. Tells her that he was forced into silence, that the world she saw as loss was his prison, and that he fought every day to find his way back. The words tremble with truth, but they do not soothe the storm. In her sound design, the heartbeat sound returns, layered with a slow, heavy drum like the pounding of rain on a roof before the downpour. Let the night insects fall silent, as though nature itself waits for what comes next. Overlay a faint whisper of wind that rises into a howl, right as Amy shouts at him. Voiceover. Amy's anger burns into grief. She tells him about the nights she sat awake with Lyndy cradled in her arms, promising her daughter that her father was watching over them. She tells him about the empty seat at birthdays, the silence at the table, the way every celebration felt unfinished. Because one voice was missing, each word spills like a wound opening wider, and Ty takes them all without defense's shoulders. Saga's head bows. His silence is no longer stubborn. It is surrender. Visual direction. Cut to a shot of Lyndy asleep inside her small hand clutching a toy horse. Then return to the porch. Amy's tears finally spill, one after another, streaking down her face. The camera lingers on Ty's boots, planted firm in the dirt, yet unmoving, as though roots have grown to hold him in place. End with a slow push in on Amy, her breath uneven, her body breaking under the weight of truth. Voiceover. In the hush that follows her outburst, Amy's heart feels both lighter and heavier. She has said what she buried for years, and the release shakes her to her core. But in the silence that follows, she realizes something else. Ty is not leaving. He stands steady, as though he will take every blade she throws, because his truth has not yet been spoken. And when it comes, it will change everything again. Voiceover. The night pulls tighter around the porch, as if the ranch itself is holding its breath. Amy wipes her face roughly as though tears make her weaker, but her voice steadies when she demands the truth. No more silence, no more shadows. She tells him that if he wants her to believe he is really standing here, then he has to give her a reason to trust him. Ty lifts his head at last. His eyes are no longer clouded with shame, but sharp with something heavier, something darker. He says there were men after him, people who would never stop. He says the accident everyone believed had taken his life was not chance, but a warning. He swears he stayed away because coming home would have painted a target on all of them, especially Amy and Lyndy. Visual direction cut tight on his lips as the words spill out. Show Amy's hand tightening on the porch rail, every knuckle, straining the camera, then sweeps to the open land behind him, wide, dark, endless. The image tells of a danger still out there, unseen yet real. Return to Amy, her eyes shifting as pieces begin to click together. A flicker of recognition, a memory of whispers of strangers on the edge of town. Voiceover. Amy's breath catches. She wants to dismiss his story as another wound, another excuse, yet the weight in his tone feels unshakable. His voice does not tremble when he says he would have died if it meant keeping her safe. He admits that he almost did more than once. He tells her about nights under strange roofs, chased by silence, hunted by shadows. He says every sunrise he wondered if it would be the day he stopped running, but each time he thought of her, thought of their daughter, he kept moving, not for himself, but for them. Sound design. The silence is now broken by a faint rumble of thunder that edges closer, a storm rolling across the prairie. Layers into the scene as though nature itself rises to echo the revelation. A low guitar note hums under the thunder, steady, constant, like the pulse of truth that cannot be hidden. Voiceover. Amy's anger bends into disbelief. She whispers that if what he says is true, then every night she cried for him, every night. She prayed was not wasted, but part of a battle she never saw. Her voice trembles, but she keeps her gaze locked on him. She tells him he stole her choice. He never trusted her to stand beside him. He left her to fight grief alone while he fought his own war in silence. Ty bows his head again, but his voice grows firmer. He says he thought keeping her in the dark was mercy, he thought. Sparing her the fear was love, he admits now. It was weakness. Visual directions show Amy stepping forward, her boots pressing hard against the porch boards. She reaches out a hand but stops inches from his chest. The camera lingers on the space between them, filled with tension and history. The shot shifts to Lyndy's drawing again in the background, almost glowing in the dim light, reminding them of what still ties them together. Voiceover. Amy whispers that Lyndy deserves to know her father is alive. Her words hang heavy, both a demand and a promise. Ty lifts his gaze, meeting hers with a spark of determination. For the first time since stepping off that bike, his eyes shine with something clear. Not fear, not shame, but resolve. He says he is ready to tell their daughter, he is ready to face the storm that follows. Even if it destroys him. Amy stares at him, unsure if she dares believe, but the world has already shifted. The buried truth is no longer buried, and nothing at Heartland will ever be the same. Voiceover. The storm finally breaks over Heartland. Rain falls in hard silver lines, drumming against the roof and spilling across the porch. Amy and Ty stand within its roar, their silence louder than thunder. For a long moment they simply look at each other and neither speaks. Amy's eyes burn with questions that could tear apart the night. Ty's shoulders carry answers that might save or ruin them. Both she knows the next step is hers. She can slam the door and shut him out forever, or she can listen and risk her heart again. Visual directions show the rain sliding down the porch light lens until everything blurs. Cut to Amy's hand resting on the doorframe, soaked drops running across her knuckles. Clove on Ty's face, rain streaking down like a mask cracking apart. The camera pans between them. Holding the tension in every line of their bodies, they stand only feet apart, but the distance feels like a canyon carved by years of loss. Voiceover. Amy breaks the silence. Her voice is steady but heavy. She tells him she cannot forgive yet, not when every memory feels stolen, not when every smile from Lyndy was shadowed by his absence. But she also admits she cannot hate him, not completely. Her heart has carried him through every sunrise. Even when her mind told her to let go, she says she has lived between love and grief for so long she no longer knows where one ends and the other begins. Her words tremble, but they are truth. Sound design. The rain grows louder, each drop like a drumbeat of decision, then let the sound pull back until the storm feels distant, replaced by the steady rhythm of her breath and his faint piano note enters, soft, fragile, like the start of something breaking or healing. Voiceover. Ty listens without defense. He does not beg, he does not excuse, he only nods and says he understands. He tells her he never expected forgiveness. Not tonight, not ever. He says he only came because the weight of silence had grown heavier than fear. He swears he would rather face her fury than live another day unseen, he says. Love is not worthy if it cannot survive the fire of truth. His words do not erase the pain, but they strike deep, leaving a mark. Amy's chest tightens because she knows he means them. Visual direction. Cut to Lyndy stirring in her bed, shifting under her blanket as if sensing the storm outside. Cut back to Amy, her face wet with rain and tears, both indistinguishable. She lowers her hand from the doorframe and takes a step closer. Her breath is uneven, her body trembling, but she does not step back. Again, she is no longer running from the choice. Voiceover Amy looks at him and says, "The decision is not hers alone. It belongs to their daughter, too. She will not hide him, but she will not force belief on a child who's lived years without him. He is truly ready. He must face Lyndy in the morning." She warns him that one wrong step could break the little girl's heart in ways that never heal. Ty nods, his jaw tight, his eyes steady. He says he accepts that weight, he says, if Lyndy rejects him, he will still stay close enough for her to know she is loved. His voice is certain for the first time all night. Voiceover. The rain eases, the storm softens, the air feels washed new. Amy studies him, seeing both the man she lost and the stranger he has become. She knows forgiveness will not come easy. Trust will not return in a day. But she also knows that love does not vanish. It changes, it bends, it waits. And now it stands before her, alive against all odds. The weight of choice still presses on her chest, but for the first time in years, Amy feels the spark of possibility. The storm clears before sunrise. The ranch smells of wet earth and pine as the first light spills across the hills. Amy stands at the porch, her jacket pulled tight around her shoulders. She has not slept. Her eyes follow the horizon where the sky shifts from gray to pale gold. Ty leans against the rail a few steps away. Rain has washed the dust from his face, but not the weight from his eyes. They do not